Hello everyone, my name is Frank. I'm the Head of Corporate Social Responsibility at Aegis Media, and I've been asked to share a couple of my thoughts for this Digibate. I think the advertising industry and advertising as a medium is currently not future-proofed for a sustainable future. I think this is for three particular reasons. The first one is that there's a general perception in the public that advertising encourages unsustainable consumption. They say, isn't advertising all about wanting more, selling more, buying more, consuming more? How can that be sustainable? The second reason that I have for this is that there are a lot of stereotypes within advertising that really push out certain minorities and do not reflect society as it is today. How often have we not seen advertising where women or people with a different sexuality are used to sell a product in a way that doesn't really feel ethical and feels a bit immoral? But I think thirdly, and the most important reason why advertising is seen to have quite a negative impact on society is because advertising in itself has value judgments, not about who we are, but about who we should be and what we should do to become that person. Does advertising really say to us, you can only be happy if you're thin, or you can only be successful if you're white? Those are value judgments inherent in advertising, and they push out minorities and sensitive audiences and do not reflect what we really are as a society, and projects an image of what we should be that isn't agreed by everyone at all. And it's for those three reasons that I think advertising at the moment is not future-proofed. I think now is really the time to tackle sustainability in advertising for two reasons. The first one is that we in advertising can no longer hide in the business-to-business supply chain. In this new world where everything is interconnected, interdependent, and above all transparent, there's no way we can hide behind the old excuse of saying, it's not us, it's the client that wants this. We need to make sure we take responsibility for our content, messaging, and for the way we deliver advertising. But above all that, the second and most important reason why we need to tackle this issue now is that advertising itself is changing. 50 years ago, a few choice ads on the right TV station could deliver the audience and action that you wanted. Right now, audiences are fragmented. They are on different devices and different platforms, and they can avoid content and advertising as much as they want. And this means that advertising has grown. Did you know that right now on American TV, 50% of time is dedicated to advertising? This is eroding public trust. And above all, it is creating a situation where advertising is becoming content itself. This convergence around content brings with a whole new scrutiny of what we do and an incredible, important and really crucial moment for us to tackle this particular issue. So I think the time is now to act and for the advertising industry to become more sustainable and focus on future-proofing itself. And I think there's three things that we need to do to start this process. The very first one is to clean up our own act internally. It really is about developing new ways of measuring and reducing the environmental impact of advertising campaigns. It won't be easy. It will throw up questions like, is digital always greener than print? Or is a billboard greener than online advertising? But we need to work together to identify and measure and then reduce the environmental impact of our advertising campaigns. The second thing that the advertising industry needs to do to become more sustainable is to acknowledge that advertising is content and to treat it as such, to make sure that we take responsibility for the impact that advertising is having on people that see it. So that means we need to start thinking about two distinct things. We need to start thinking about the audiences that we're trying to reach, make sure that the diversity of those audiences is reflected and that there is no stereotyping around gender or sexuality, for instance. The second thing that we need to start doing is thinking about the values that are inherent in advertising, making sure that we start to consider what possible image we're projecting of what is good and what is important and what is acceptable in society. So the second reason we need to tackle this really is about the content aspect of the work that we do. But the third and most important thing that the advertising industry needs to do to become more sustainable is to acknowledge its wider role in society and really get to grips with the question of supply and demand. Now, the key thing is for us to stand up and show that we are proud of the impact advertising has had so far on shaping the society and the economy that we live in. For instance, without advertising, our Gmail, our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter wouldn't really be free. We need to educate consumers on what advertising is facilitating for them and what positive impact it's having. But on top of that, we need to think much more about what positive impact advertising can have on people's lives. It's really about reshaping advertising, bringing it back to the roots that it came from. It's about creating better lives. So this is all about matching up supply and demand. We are both hugely important in terms of consumer insight, what people are looking for, what they'd like to buy, what they are interested in, as well as in knowing from our clients what products are sold and what's going on. If we can create advertising campaigns that are much more targeted, much more detailed, that bring together supply and demand, we can cut waste within the entire economy and make sure that when the next wave of billions of consumers from Africa come to the market, that we are much better at creating products that are more sensible and greener and create less waste. So we have to really think and imagine a new world in which an advertising campaign for an electricity company isn't just about selling electricity, it's about how can it help consumers consume less energy. That we really have to think about campaigns that are for shower gels that are not just about freshening up, but about stopping the spread of diseases that are transmitted through touch and increasing people's hygiene habits. We can imagine many ways in which advertising can make a tangible and really important contribution to people's lives, and as a result bring supply and demand closer together to balance the economy as a whole. Now, this is the big question that advertising is facing over the next 10 to 20 years, particularly as the emerging economies are coming into play. It's a huge opportunity for us, but it's also a huge risk. So we should be incredibly careful. And I think that's why we should really tackle this particular issue around future-proofing our industry.